Brethren, personally, I'd like to offer up a prayer to Yahweh real quick also. Father Yahweh, thank you so much for this Shabbat and for bringing me to this place and these beloved brethren that are here. Thank you for that awesome prayer that our brother just offered up. And you know, Father, that I'm just a simple little man who you've called out of this world, and you've given me some understanding, which you've given each one of us, our understanding. But Father, it must be of your Spirit, otherwise it's worthless, it's valueless. And so I'm asking for your Spirit to lead, guide, and direct everything that's said and done, that it will be your word that is spoken and that will be received in the ears of the brethren and into each one of our hearts and our minds. Thank you so much, Father in heaven, for your many blessings you pour out upon us, for life itself and for being able to live in this creation and just be witnesses to the powerful works of your word, your mouth, the breath of your mouth as you have created all things, and by the power of your word you sustain them. And so now bless us, Father in heaven, with the light of your word, which is your Son, Yahshua. And it's in his name that I pray and ask these things, thanking and praising you. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Brethren, I have to commit all things into Yahweh's hand each and every time, because if I'm up here speaking my own words, I don't have any confidence, and I don't even know what to say, you know. So I have to put everything into his power, into his authority. If I'm going to say anything, if I'm going to get anything across, it has to come from him. And I've been so blessed to be able to be here today and last night. Brother Robin and I have been able to, and Brother Jesse, we've really been able to talk things over. And then Sister Messiah, we talked about some things this morning, powerful things that the world doesn't know, that the world doesn't even recognize. And yet for us, I've been blessed. I've been blessed because of testimony, because of witness of different things that are coming on. And like I say, I love Yahweh's word, and I love to talk to people who are studious and want to share things and so forth. And it's awesome how close Brother Robin and I, Brother Jesse and I, how close the things are that we believe. It's just awesome. It's amazing. And you know, when I was on my way down here, I really never know exactly what I'm going to speak about. I brought a couple of booklets with me. One of them is Who is Melchizedek, and the other one is entitled The Word. And as we've been talking and everything, I just want Yahweh to lead me into what I'm going to be saying here, so that what is said can be received, and received with joy and rejoicing. Because what I want to do is I want to give glory and honor to the Creator, and not to myself. So let's go over here to the book of Genesis. I had Brother Robin put up here the modern Hebrew word Bereshit. And this is the Bereshit in the pictorial. And I've been doing some studies lately and come across some people who have done some deep, intensive studies themselves. And when you get into the scriptures, things are hidden there, brethren. Let's go over here to the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 25. In verse 1. It says, these are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal a thing. This is the way it reads in the English. But the honor of kings is to search out a matter. Now, the interesting thing about this is the word thing is the Hebrew word dabar. So it's the glory of Elohim to conceal his word. But it's the honor, or actually the word glory and honor, the same Hebrew word, kavod. So it's the glory of kings to search out matter is the Hebrew word dabar. Dabar, word. So it's the glory of Elohim to conceal his word, but the glory of kings is to search out his word. And so if we go over here to the book of Matthew, chapter 13, Yahshua begins to speak parables, and his disciples come to him. Verse 10, and his disciples said unto him, why are you speaking to them in parables? And he answers unto them, because it's given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Brethren, we are called out to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. But the rest of the world doesn't care for it. The rest of the world has its mind on the things of the world. But we have to have our mind on the things of Yahweh and on the things of his word.
Hallelujah.
For whosoever has, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever has not, from him shall be taken away even that he has. So if a person thinks that he has a message from Yahweh, hey, you better prove it by his word. Prove it by his word. If he thinks he's got something, and it doesn't match up, even what he's got is going to be taken away. Sadly, we've got a whole group of people in this world. You've got Jews, you've got Christians, you've got Muslims, and they think they have the word, but they're not following it. As Brother Kent was saying, and as Brother Rogan and those of us were talking about, we need to be walking in the footsteps of Yahshua the Messiah. He is the Word. Otherwise, what you've got is going to be taken away. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Now Yahshua came to a people who were studying the Scriptures, the Pharisees especially. The Sadducees were studying them also, but they had two different minds, of course. But these people studied Yahweh's Word so carefully, inside and out. They read it forwards, they read it backwards, they went through up and down through the Scriptures, looking for all of these secret hidden things that are in there. And there are so many things that are hidden in there. And I'm telling you, you can go to a lot of these Jewish rabbis and they can tell you things that are so awesome, because they've studied his word and they've taken all kinds of phrases and they've matched and a lot of things. But you have to be careful, brethren, because they actually are in denial of Yahweh's word, because Yahshua is Yahweh's word, and they deny Yahshua the Messiah. So Yahshua said, hey, beware of their leaven. And the disciples thought, hey, we don't have any bread. You know? And the disciples didn't know what was going on at that time. They had not received this Holy Spirit yet. They were walking with Yahshua, and they were witnesses to everything that he said and he did. Yahshua chose them out to be witnesses, and then when they received the Holy Spirit, they were sent out to witness to people what they had seen with Yahshua the Messiah. You know? I mean, and so the witness is about Yahshua the Messiah. It wasn't about them. It wasn't about me. It isn't about you, other than we are destined to be born into his family, to be B'nai Elohim, the sons of Elohim. Hallelujah. So he says, therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. That's it. And the reason why they didn't understand is that they were looking through the scriptures with the mind of Adam, the first Adam, but not the mind of the second Adam, which is the mind of the Holy Spirit. And so they could not understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which says, by hearing you shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see and not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand, and their heart should be converted, and I should heal them. But then he says, but blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For truly I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see the things which you see, and have seen, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and they haven't heard them. So let's go here also to 1 Corinthians. Chapter 2. Because Paul says, let me just put this here. Paul says, we speak in verse 7, 1 Corinthians 2, verse 7, we speak the wisdom of Yahweh in a mystery. In a mystery. And the world can't receive it because the world has the spirit of the first Adam, but not the spirit that comes from Yahweh. And so that's basically what he's saying here in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, 7 through about 14. We speak the wisdom of Elohim, or the wisdom of Yahweh, in a mystery, even the hidden, which Yahweh ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have impaled or crucified the sovereign of glory. But as it is written, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, neither has entered into the heart of man the things which Yahweh has prepared for them that love Him. Love Him. But Yahweh has revealed them unto us by His Spirit. See, we can't understand it except by His Spirit. For the Spirit searches all things, yea, the deep things of Yahweh. We need to be searching the Scriptures, and we need to be searching deeply to see what we can find that's there, because there's hidden gems. There's so many hidden gems, so many hidden jewels in Yahweh's Word. It's just awesome. For what man knows the things of a man? What Adam? Let's just change the word man to Adam, because we're descendants of Adam. So what Adam knows the things of Adam, save the spirit of Adam that's in him. Even so, the things of Yahweh knows no man but the Spirit of Yahweh. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of Yahweh, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of Yahweh. Freely given, brethren. And so, look, our ministry must not sell Yahweh's word. To sell, actually, one of the meanings of the word Canaanite is a merchant. And so many people are merchandising Yahweh's word. And we must not merchandise Yahweh's word. We freely receive, we freely give. Which things also we speak not in the words which man's wisdom teaches, or Adam's wisdom, but which the Holy Spirit teaches, the Ruach HaKodesh. That Ruach HaKodesh means holy breath. The spirit of man is the Ruach HaAdam. And the spirit of Yahweh is the Ruach HaKodesh, the breath, the holy breath. But which the Ruach HaKodesh, the holy breath, teaches, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. But the natural man, the natural Adam, receives not the things of the Spirit of Yahweh, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. Now, men judge you all the time, brethren. Don't get, basically what this means is before Yahweh's throne, no man can judge you. It's Yahweh is the ultimate judge. So what I want to do, I want to go here to the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1. And I primarily want to focus on the word of Yahweh today. But we're going to see how far I get. I don't want to labor on this too long, but I want to labor on it long enough to get the point across. So, in my scriptures here, it says, in the beginning Elohim created the heaven and the earth. But in the Hebrew it's Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim vi et haaretz. So, and brethren, Yahweh showed something special to us in that very first verse, because it's only composed of 7 words. 7 words. And then it's 28 letters. Those 7 words are composed of 28 letters, which is 4 times 7. Isn't that awesome? I mean, oh, absolutely. It is. Because the word 7 is so important to us. As a matter of fact, I always use the word Shabbat. Sheen, Beit, and Tav. Well, Shabbat comes from the Hebrew word Shabbat, which is 7. Hebrew word 7. Yeah. So it has to be the 7th day. It can't be the first day. First is Rishon. So the Hebrew itself destroys anyone who wants to keep the first day. It destroys their argument right off the bat if you understand the Hebrew. But also, you can get several things out of this, just like you can get several things out of Bereshit. And one of the things you can get is, this is a picture of teeth. This is a picture of the house, tent, temple, or family. And this is the Tav, which is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It is a sign, a mark, or the name. Or it can mean the end. But with your teeth you eat. So on Shabbat we eat in the house of the name.
Hallelujah.
Or we eat in the house of the covenant.
Hallelujah.
I mean, that is one of the meanings for Shabbat. Also, if you take Sheen and Beit, you can get the word Shub, which means to turn to the covenant, turn to the name. You know, I mean, see, there's hidden things there in the Hebrew. So many marvelous things that we need to look into. We need to understand. So when I look at this word Bereshit, there's so many things that I can get out of this, because the Beit is supposed to mean in. And then Reshit is beginning, but it's also used for the, in Leviticus chapter 23, for the wave sheaf. Only it's called, we call it wave sheaf because it's written that way in the English, but in the Hebrew it's the Omer Reshit, the Omer of beginnings. So it does mean beginning, but there's more to this than meets the eye. And Brother Rogan and I were talking about that this morning. How many different meanings did you say this one guy got out of it?
34.
34? 34 different meanings. I need to talk to that guy because I know a bunch of meanings, but I don't know 34 yet. So I got a lot more study to do, right?
Maybe that's where that 30, 60, and 100% comes
It could be. Very well could be.
in. You got to dig it out.
Yeah. Okay. So, actually, Resh, Aleph, and Sheen is the Hebrew word Rosh, which means head. So this would be in the head, but then you got Yod and Tav. Well, guess what? Yod and Tav is a separate Hebrew word also. It means self or entity. So this would be in the head entity, created Elohim, the heavens and the earth. But also, you got Beit and Resh, which is bar, Aleph and Shin, which is fire, and Yod and Tav, which is self or entity. So the son of the fire entity created. Because Yahweh is what? A consuming fire, right? But now, if you take Aleph, Shin, Yod, Tav, that's another Hebrew word, and it means foundation or framework. So the Son is the foundation or the framework. Isn't he the stone? Oh, let's go over here to Psalms 118. So it says, let's just pick it up in verse 17. I shall not die but live and declare the works of Yah. Yah has chastened me sore, but he has not given me over unto death. Open to me the gates of righteousness. I will go into them, and I will praise Yah. This gate of Yahweh, into which the righteous shall enter, I will praise you, for you have heard me, and are become my salvation, my Yeshua.
Hallelujah.
The stone which the builders refused is become the headstone of the corner. This is Yahweh's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. Well, the Hebrew word for stone is Aleph Beit Nun. Aleph Beit Nun. And so in the word stone, you get Aleph, Beit, and Nun. Oh, yes. This goes down a little. Okay, so Aleph and Beit is the Hebrew word for father, and Beit Nun is the Hebrew word for son. So you got the father and son in one stone. The father and son in one stone. And that's what Yahshua said, I and my Father are one. And people can't understand that. People can't understand it. But if you go into the Hebrew and you look at it in the Hebrew, it tells you, it shows you how it can be. It's 3 letters, but it's showing you the Aleph and Beit, which is the Father, and Beit Nun, which is the Son, and the common letter is the Beit, which is the house. And the Beit equals to 2. The Beit equals to 2. So in the beginning, now look at this. This is Resh. This is a picture of a head. This is the Aleph. That's the picture of the head of an ox. It takes 2 heads. 2 heads are in this word. The Resh and the Aleph. Now, Ra in Hebrew can mean evil, but that doesn't mean evil when it applies to Yahweh and Yahshua. It has to do with something else, and I haven't looked it up. I didn't look it up, so I can't remember what it is. But Resh and Aleph, and then, of course, this word here. There's people who have seen that the Son will be consumed, and then, of course, he's the right hand of the Father and on the cross and things like that.
There's just so much depth in there.
It's deep. It is deep. So I want to go back to Genesis because The entire phrase, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz, is 7 words, 28 letters. Now, if you multiply, each Hebrew letter has a numerical value. So if you multiply the value of each word, you take and you figure out the value of each word, and you multiply each. You start multiplying Bereshit times bara and so forth and so on until you get all 7, and then you multiply that by 7. And then you take the 28 letters and you just start multiplying all of those letters together, 28, and then multiply that by 28. Then you divide the 7 product into the 28. Guess what the result is?
Pi.
Pi. That's the Greek way. But pi is also spelled, let me do a little erasing here.
All those numbers are in everything.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
All of the pyramids worldwide, pi is in every one of them.
Yeah.
And
All
that's
formula, all your
perfect number.
pi is spelled P-I in our language, but in the Hebrew, it would be, let me do the, that ain't gonna work.
And see, and that.
Let me do the pictorial.
Okay.
This is the pei, which is the picture of a mouth. And this is the yod, which is the picture of an arm. Actually, it would be the right arm. And when the yod is at the end of a word, it will be supplied for the suffix my. So my mouth. Okay, let's go to Psalms 33. Let's pick it up in verse 1. I don't really like to break into a thought. But it says, rejoice in Yahweh, O you righteous, for praise is comely for the upright. Praise Yahweh with harp. Sing unto him with the psaltery and an instrument of 10 strings. Sing unto him a new song. Play skillfully with a loud noise. Brother Robin was playing with the guitar. That's not exactly a harp, but it's a stringed instrument. Hallelujah. I wish I'd learned how to play one. For Dabar Yahweh, and this is the Hebrew. The Hebrew is Dabar Yahweh. The word of Yahweh is right. And all his works are done in truth. Amen. He loves righteousness and judgment. That's the reason why Yahshua came. He loved righteousness, and there was no fault, there was no sin ever found in him. The earth is full of the goodness of Yahweh. By the word of Yahweh were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. And the Hebrew for his mouth, it's actually pei, yod, vav, because the vav is at the end to designate his, but actually the pei and yod together would mean my mouth. It was made by his mouth. He gathers the waters of the sea together as an heap. He lays up the depths in storehouses. Let all the earth fear Yahweh. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. For he spoke, and it was done. He commanded, and it stood fast. So By the words of his mouth, everything exists.
Hallelujah.
And look, let's go over here. The first place that what people have not understood is that first verse in Scripture, when you study into it deep enough, Yahweh is telling you, by my mouth, in the beginning, the heavens and earth, Elohim made the heavens and the earth, and it would actually, pi is the resulting number. It's hidden from the sight of people. Now, let me go here to Genesis chapter 15. After these things, the word of Yahweh, the bar Yahweh, came to Abram in a vision and said, "Fear not, Abram, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward." And Abram says, Yahweh, what will you give me? It's Yahweh Elohim. What you give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus. And Abram said, "Behold, to me you've given no seed. And lo, one born in my house is my heir." And behold, the bar Yahweh came to him, saying, "This shall not be your heir, but that shall come forth out of you, your own bowels, shall be your heir." And he brought him forth abroad and said, "Look now toward heaven and count the stars, if you're able to number them." And he said, "So shall your seed be." And he believed Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
He believed Yahweh, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And that's what this brother was talking about even in his prayer. Believing in his word. We've got to believe in his word. You know, you don't get anywhere without faith. And what's the Hebrew word for faith? You know, Brother Rogan? Amen. Amen. Is the Hebrew word for faith. And that's exactly what it uses that word here for Abraham. In his faith, it's Amin, Aman, Amen, and also you can find it in there as Amen. I've done an extensive search into the scriptures on that, and it's looking to the one. Aleph is one. You're looking to the one who provides the spirit. Mem is water for the seed. Nun is the seed, the air. That's basically what that means, brother. It's what it means. It is awesome. It's marvelous. It's wondrous.
It closes any loopholes.
It closes any loopholes.
Let me
read you this. I've got this David Flynn collection, Temple at the Center of Time. Now, brethren, I'm telling you one thing right now. This guy, he did some heavy work. Now, he doesn't know Yahweh and Yahshua or anything, but he did believe in the Creator. But he found out that the temple is at the center of time before the year 0. Everything was measured in miles, statute miles. But after in Yahshua's time, it began to be measured in nautical miles. And he found out that in 585, when the temple was destroyed, the major Babylonian city was 585 miles, statute miles, from the Temple Mount. And then, when Babylon fell in 539, the city that major city then was 539 miles. I mean, it's awesome. But then, after what we call AD or BCE, you've got the French. The French dealt with, Napoleon wanted to re-establish Jerusalem. Guess how far? It was in 1798. Guess how many nautical miles Paris, France is from the Temple Mount in Jerusalem? 1,798 miles. And then in 1948, the British pulled out of, they made a deal with the Rothschilds that they would pull out of the land of Canaan, and they handed it over to the Jews. 1948. And guess how far London, England is from the Temple Mount?
Come on.
1,948 miles. And I've done the research from the Washington Monument to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and it's so significant because Donald Trump has already recognized Jerusalem as the headquarters of Israel.
And there's other countries.
And I can't remember exactly what it was, but it worked out. It was awesome that we are in that period of time today, those nautical miles. But anyway, this guy here says, as you were saying, brother, mathematicians consider pi an existential number because its decimal places extend forever. Extend forever. So pi is an eternal number. Yahshua, the Word, is eternal, brethren. The Scriptures say that. But people cannot understand. Even people in the body of the Messiah cannot understand that and accept it. Use of pi in building and architecture is considered the identifying characteristic of an advanced civilization by historians. In fact, without understanding the value of pi, building and architecture cannot exist. Look, your own eyes are, actually your eyes are a sphere, but you see a circle and you can figure the diameter of your eye with pi, But every cell in your body is round, and that has to do with pi. I mean, pi is in the formulas. What men are doing is they are using Yahweh's word, pi, Yahweh's mouth, the word that comes out of Yahweh's mouth, to figure out all kinds of formulas and figure out how to build this, that, and the other, and yet they're denying the Creator. They're denying the one who spoke it all into existence. They want to teach evolution. I get so, we talked about microevolution this morning. I really hate that word, evolution. The British call it evolution, and that's a more perfect pronunciation, evolution. But I mean, yeah, we do have a tendency to somewhat evolve in things. Our country has evolved from where we are to, from where we began to where we are today, and so forth. So you can say that evolution is a fact in that instance, but we didn't evolve from monkeys, or the creation wasn't just created out of a huge explosion. What does a huge explosion do? It destroys. It destroys. It doesn't build, it destroys. So there had to be, if there was an explosion of fire in the beginning, it had to be directed by the power of the word of Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
By the very mouth of Yahweh. It had to be, because the creation it's made through intelligence, brethren. It's made through intelligence, and Yahweh has the most marvelous and wondrous intellect. We can't even begin to fathom it. It's marvelous. It's wondrous. So let's go over here to John chapter 1.
In the beginning.
Yes, sir, brother. Because, there's two beginnings. There's two covenants, brethren. There's the covenant of Moses, and then there's the covenant of Yahshua.
Hallelujah.
And the covenant of Moses began with Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et ha'eretz. And then you've got the beginning of the new covenant in Yahshua, which is over here in the book of John 1. Matthew is the first book of of what we call the New Testament, but John should have been the first book. because he says, in the beginning was the Word, was the Debar. And the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. Or actually, you could say, and the Word was with Yahweh, and the Word was Yahweh. The same was in the beginning with Yahweh. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So how in the world can people read these scriptures right here and say Yahshua didn't pre-exist? It's impossible. It's impossible. Either John's a liar or they're liars. John's not a liar. In him was life, and the light was the light of men. And the light shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from Yahweh, whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness to the light. He came to bear witness to the light, to Yahshua the Messiah. Brethren, that's what we've got to do, is we've got to bear the witness of Yahshua the Messiah. We're not witnessing of ourselves. We're just an instrument that he can use. He can use my mouth to say things that will enter into your ear and into your heart. But brethren, if I'm doing it of my own self, in my own wisdom, in my own knowledge, in my own understanding, like I said in the prayer, it's worthless. It's got to be coming from Yahweh. He came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe, might amen. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light, that the true light, which enlightens every man, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Didn't have eyes to see, didn't have ears to hear. Only those who have the Spirit of Yahweh can really accept the in-depth, the deep wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of what is being spoken here. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. He came to Judah, his own people Judah. He was born of Judah. He had to be born of Judah because Judah was the fourth son of Leah. He was the fourth son. And guess what? The number 4 in Hebrew is the Dalet. And the Dalet is the picture of a door. And where's Judah located? In the temple environs in the wilderness. Right in front of the door. In the east, in front of the door. You had to go through Judah. If you were going to the temple or the tabernacle, you had to go through Judah to get to the altar of sacrifice. And Moses and Aaron, the priests. And Judah was under the symbol of a lion. Ephraim and Manasseh were under the symbol of an ox, the olive. But what does a lion... Now, in the spiritual world, the lion and the ox can dwell together. But in the physical world, the lion eats that ox. And that's where we are in this world today, brethren. I know a lot of people get angry about the Jewish people and the way they are controlling things and eating up everyone's prosperity. But it's revealed in the temple, the tabernacle, the way the tabernacle was established. The Levites, the Jews and the Levites are the ones who are controlling the world and the world's economy and everything, and they're eating up the substance of Joseph. Eating up the substance. The pattern is there, and you cannot escape it. So we should not hate these people. They're wicked. They're doing wicked works and everything, but guess what? The first tribe that Yahweh is going to have mercy on is Judah. The first tribe. And those people are very hateful. They can be very hateful and very condescending because they look upon you and me. If we aren't Jewish, they look upon you and me as nothing better than animals. How about a dumb ox? House of Ephraim, right? As a matter of fact, the Levitical tribe that was in between Joseph and the tabernacle was the, let me go back here and look real quick. I've got it here in Numbers. It was the Gershonites. They were in between Ephraim, Benjamin, and Manasseh. Gershon. And Gershon means to cast away, to divorce. Actually, divorce. So Yahweh had incorporated his plan in the tabernacle in the wilderness. You know? I mean, Yahweh tells you what's going to happen before it happens. He prophesies what is going to happen before it happens. And when it happens, we're all dumbfounded and amazed. Why? Why this? Why that? Why this? Why that? You know? Well, if you know Yahweh's word, then you know what's going to happen. You know what's happening. And you know why. The priest, what did the priest do to the ox? Well, that was the most precious animal, the most expensive you could sacrifice. As a matter of fact, we went through Leviticus chapter 1 this morning, and that very first animal that was addressed was the ox. And the ox was the most expensive. A person who had a lot of money, he was able to offer an ox, but so that's the rich. And then the middle class. Yahweh had upper class, middle class, lower class. So the middle class, they only had the funds to supply a lamb or a goat. And then the poor, they could offer a dove or two pigeons. That's the cheapest. That's the lowest. Yahweh made provision for everyone. Yeah, and then flour, right. So, you know, Yahweh's word is so awesome. He back in John 1:10, he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not, and he came to his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become Beni Ha-Elohim, the sons of Elohim, even to them that believe on his name, which were born or generated not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of Yahweh, by the Spirit, brethren. So the Word became flesh and dwelt tabernacled among us, and we beheld his glory as the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. And that's one of the things that we fail to focus on, I think, in the assemblies a lot, is that word grace. When I come for the feast, if I didn't do it last year, do y'all remember me giving a message on grace last year? Love and grace. Did I? I don't remember. I've slept since then.
Was it filmed? Did you get it on record? Did you brought your camera?
I brought my camera and I filmed a bunch of it, but one of the cameras wasn't operating properly, so I think I got other people's, but I didn't necessarily get mine.
So grace, what's your definition of grace?
It's actually unmerited, free unmerited pardon. Yeah, but
Yeshua could be
oh
grace.
yeah, he is grace.
It is our grace.
Absolutely, brother.
Unmerited.
And he is our truth also, by the way. I appreciated that prayer you prayed, because man, you went through so many things. It was awesome.
It's all the Spirit.
So John bears witness of him and cried, saying, "This is he of whom I spoke. He that comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me." And that's what the people of Yahshua's day, he said, before Abraham, I am. I existed. And they said, you're not, what was it, not quite 50 years old? And And you've seen Abraham? Interesting, because he is the one who appeared to Abraham. He was Dabar Yahweh. And let's look at that Hebrew word, Dabar. Which one of these is better? Erasing this stuff. It's Dalet. And this is the pictorial. Bait and Resh. That's supposed to be somebody's head. That's his nose and it's eye, maybe. Dabar. So what did Yahshua say? Let's go over here to John chapter 10. Verse 1, truly, truly, I say unto you, he that enters not by the door into the sheepfold, this is the bar, this is the Hebrew word for word in the more ancient pictorial Hebrew. Truly, truly, I say unto you, he that enters not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbs in some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that enters in by the gate, we just read about the gate of salvation in the book of... is it time? No. Oh, okay. But he that enters by the gate, the door or the gate, is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter opens, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he puts forth his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, that they may know his voice. And the stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. This is a parable, brethren. Once again, this is a parable. This parable spoke Yahshua unto them, but they understood not what things they were he spoke to them. Then Yahshua says unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and find and out and find pasture. The thief comes not but for to steal and kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. Okay, so he says, I'm the door. He's the door. This is the house, tent, temple, or family. So he's the door to the house or the temple. And this is the head of the house. So he is the door to the house's head. The word. The very word, Hebrew word, when we apply it to Yahshua the Messiah, it reveals that he is the door to the head of the house, who is the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. Yahshua is that door. This one over there. Let's go here to 2 Peter. No, wait a minute. Let's go, first off, let's go to 1 John 1. 1 John 1. This is another beginning. This is another beginning. 1 John 1. That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon, and our hands have handled of the word of life. Dabar HaChaim. For the life was manifested, and we have seen it, and bear witness, and show unto you that eternal life. Pi. The mouth of Yahweh. The word of Yahweh, because the word comes from the mouth. Which was with the Father, and was manifested unto us. John is telling you that Yahshua is eternal. He and the Father together make one family, one stone. They are one, echad. And you cannot separate the two. That's the reason why a lot of people believe that Satan was one of the cherubs that covered the throne. That is not true, because that kephoret, that lid, was made out of a solid piece of gold. There was no division, and then the cherubim at the end were beaten out of that same piece of gold to show the unity of those who sat on the throne, the Father and the Son. Total unity, brethren. No division between the two. The disunity came from another cherub who had power over part of the creation. He was in the mountain of Yahweh, and he had power over the creation, part of the creation, but he rebelled against Yahweh because he thought he could do a better job. He was made so perfect, so beautiful, and he trusted in his beauty, and it caused him to crash. Pride goes before a fall, doesn't it? And that's exactly what happened to him. Because Yahshua himself said, I saw Satan fall from heaven. And so he fell. Yahshua is the word of life, and he is eternal according to John, the Apostle John's witness. And I tell you what, brethren, you can argue with me until you're blue and black in the face, and you're not going to get me to give this up, because I have the witness of the apostles. So now let's go to 2 Peter. Chapter 3. We'll just pick it up in verse 1. This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you in both, which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, that you may be mindful of the words which were spoken before the holy prophets, and of the commandment of us, the apostles of the sovereign and Savior. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust. Hey, has that not happened? I mean, we were talking about Mr. Darwin this morning, right? You and I were, Brother Brogan. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. For this they willingly are ignorant of. Willingly ignorant. They don't want to know the truth. You go to the book of Romans chapter 1, and they refuse to give the glory to him who created everything. And so what's he done? He's just turned everyone over to perversion.
Who has made the truth of Yahweh into a lie.
That's right. Absolutely. And that's exactly what Satan did. Satan, before Eve, he questioned Yahweh's words.
So who do you think created Satan, sir?
Yahweh created him as a
One of
cherub.
his tools.
As a cherub.
One of his tools, like Nebuchadnezzar.
But Yahweh didn't create him to be. Yahweh didn't create him to be evil. He created him to be in his.
Everything perfect.
But he is the one who fell because he thought that he was better than Yahweh. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
So don't be giving glory to something that's not of.
I'm not giving glory to it.
Okay, please. Yahweh will destroy your family and everything in it.
I'm not
You
giving
keep
glory
giving
to it.
like that, sir.
I'm just telling you that there was a serpent who was called Hashatan, and he deceived the woman, and he's the one who is deceiving the world today.
There's only one that kills, there's only one that heals.
But they are willingly ignorant of that by the word of Yahweh the heavens, were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire, against the judgment and perdition of impious or unrighteous man. So Yahweh he's actually agreeing with the book of Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 1. Elohim, or Yahweh, who at sundry times and in divers manners spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, has in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things, by whom he made the worlds. Now, who can't read this? Who can read this and not understand what's being said here? Who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power. Through his mouth, pi, and pi exists in all of the formulas. He's upholding everything by the power of his mouth. This is awesome stuff, brethren. It's awesome stuff. He's upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high. And what was his prayer? Father, restore me to the glory that I had with you before the world was. Before. Who can read that and not understand that Yahshua is telling us that he existed before the world? Only those who are blind and have their ears stopped up and their eyes blinded cannot see this.
That's why you build it.
Being made so much better than the angels, as he has by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. For unto which of the angels said he at any time, You're my son, this day have I begotten you, and again I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. And there you have it. The stone, a ben. Father and son together in one stone. Again, when he brings in the firstborn into this world, he says, Let all the angels of Elohim worship him. When? When he brought him into the world. All the angels of Elohim, angels appeared to the shepherds in the field. And they declared that Yahshua was born in Bethlehem, the house of bread, by the way. The true bread from heaven was born in the house of bread, of whom we eat of his flesh and we drink of his blood. In Pesach. At Pesach. And so he says, but to the Son he says, well, wait a minute, let's see. And of the angels, he says, who makes his angels spirits and ministers a flame of fire. Well, a minister can be a flame of fire. A minister can speak with fire. But I guarantee you that minister is not better than the Son, because it says it right here. But unto the Son, he says, Your throne, O Elohim, is forever. A scepter of righteousness is your scepter, is the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated iniquity. Where did we read that before? Wasn't that in Psalms 33? Therefore, Elohim, even your Elohim, has anointed you with the oil of gladness above your fellows. You know, we've got some people who cannot, they do not want to use the word El and Elohim. Well, the Hebrew word El is Aleph and Lamed. Aleph and Lamed. The Aleph is the head of an ox. It means that which is first, that which is chief, that which is the head. And Lamed is the picture of a shepherd's rod, either in Paleo or pictorial Hebrew. So it means the chief shepherd, the chief authority, or the chief shepherd. And what did we read in John 10? Joshua is the shepherd. And Peter calls him the chief shepherd. That's the Hebrew word El. If you refuse to call him El, if you refuse to acknowledge his existence as El,
Here's a little something
then you are
on that L. This is
Uh-huh.
powerful. Every house to be held up has an L. Every house has to have an L.
Yeah.
So
You're
that's
right.
Just, and that's just a little bit of.
Hey, by the way, every foot has an L.
So L is in us, and they don't want to use the word L. Huh?
Yeah, right. That's the people out at Abilene.
Believers in
Abilene.
Yahweh.
It's supposed to be.
House of Yahweh.
Yeah.
I like that.
They refuse to use that word, but I mean, if you know your Hebrew, and if you go into pictorial Hebrew especially, and you learn what those things mean, then no one can deceive you, and you know the truth, but and you know that they're liars, that they're lying. As a matter of fact, they're in the book of John, chapter 1, when it says, in the beginning was the Word, they've changed their scriptures to say, in the beginning was the plan. But I wonder if they went through all of the places where logos, because they say the Greek word logos doesn't mean word. It does mean word. It means saying. It means word. It means several different things, brethren.
Right.
But you go through all of the New Testament, check their scriptures to all the New Testament, and where the word appears in their scriptures, I guarantee you're going to find that they've translated logos into word. So, caught them in their own trap.
Where are they just playing with our names?
Well, I mean, and I don't mean to be speaking down on anybody, but what I mean to be doing is revealing the glory of Yahshua the Messiah. And when you know His glory, when you understand who He is, then no one is going to be able to deceive you with trickery, words of trickery, you know. Because I've heard men say Yahshua is no part El. I'm sorry, but you know, one man, he's no longer with us anymore. But you know, he wouldn't listen. He just wouldn't listen. He had his own ideas, and he's gone. But brethren, Yahshua is the word of Yahweh. He is the door to Yahweh. He is the door to the house, to Yahweh's house, His heavenly house, and it's only through Him that, well, actually, it's only through Him that you and I exist. We exist by the power of Yahweh. We are upheld by the power of the word of Yahweh. And that word Pi has witnessed to me that it is eternal, number one, and it has to do with Yahweh's mouth, number two, and out of His mouth comes His word, number three, and Yahshua is His word. He's the one who spoke everything into existence. So Yahshua is the Bar Yahweh. He's the one who appeared to Abraham. And that was the first place where actually that phrase, or that combination, the Bar Yahweh, appears, is Genesis chapter 15, when He appeared and revealed Himself to Abraham. But today, we have a great revelation too, because Abraham didn't have scriptures. He had the heavens to look at the way the heavens speak of the Yahweh and glorify Yahweh, but he didn't have the written scriptures. But he had Yahweh appeared to him, didn't he? Yahweh appeared to him, and he, you know, the witness even back then was in Abraham dwelt the spirit of the holy Elohim. So Abraham had the spirit of Yahweh. He understood far more than what, you know, is revealed in the scriptures. And he believed. He believed. And we, brethren, we must believe. Yahshua is Dabar Yahweh. He is the word of Yahweh. He is eternal. He and the Father are one, and that doesn't mean that He's the Father. He came to reveal the Father because no one knew of Him. So I hope this message has been somewhat revealing to you concerning Yahshua. Actually, I may not have revealed any more than what you already understood, but what we do is when we focus on these things, they actually solidify what we've already known and understood. I've known for years that Yahshua had existed as Yahweh. I've known for years that He is the Word of Yahweh. And I know that y'all have too. I knew for years that He pre-existed. I knew for years that He was Elohim, that He was El. But now with the revelation to me of the Hebrew and the meanings of the Hebrew words, I can prove to myself, to my satisfaction, and hopefully to you, to others also who believe this, who know it, because you know it through the Spirit, right? And you know it through reading Yahweh's Word. And so let's strengthen one another's faith, brethren, especially the faith in what Yahweh's Word says to each and every one of us. And so may Yahweh bless. It's such a blessing to be here with you today. I'm looking forward to our fellowship and our visitation and the meal. I'm getting hungry. So anyway, Yahweh bless, brethren. We'll have more to come. Shalom.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Brother Jerry.
Yes, sir, brother.
Very inspiring. That woman in the well talked to Yeshua.